Welcome back as we join probably one of the most important conversations we can have right now, certainly from a South African perspective. African penguins are heading towards extinction. That's what the numbers are saying, and drastic measures need to be taken in order to save what used to be a thriving species here in our country. Now, world-renowned endurance swimmer and UN patron of the oceans, Pugh, all-round living legend, joins us this morning to provide more insight into the plight of the African penguin. He's swum across the North Pole to highlight the melting of the Arctic sea ice. He's swum the length of the English Channel, which is a whopping, I'll say a paltry 528 kilometers. And now he has set his vision on saving what should be considered our heritage. Lewis, welcome to it, buddy.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good to have you here.
So, man, I got to ask, of course, the numbers, what are they looking like, and how bad is it really for the African penguin, Lewis?
It depends. So it depends whether you're on the East Coast or on the West Coast. On the East Coast, it's serious. On the West Coast, it's very, very, very serious.
Oh, wow.
So the science now is clear, and that is that the African penguin on the West Coast is heading for functional extinction within less than 15 years' time, unless we take very, very urgent action. So now the African penguin, it is more vulnerable than the polar bear, it's more vulnerable than the white rhino, and it's even more vulnerable than the giant panda. That's how serious it is.
Oh, wow. Well, hopefully the alarm bells are sounding, and thank you for your efforts to ring that bell and be a mouthpiece. But I would imagine a very complex issue when trying to figure out what the answers are. Yes, while on the surface it might seem simple, but what is driving this extinction? Why are the numbers dropping so significantly?
Yeah, you know, when you swim in the oceans, things become a lot simpler. So when you see what's happening to the wildlife around the world, you realize that we really need to take action. And there's three things which are impacting the African penguin. The first is pollution, and specifically oil pollution. You can have a big oil spill and it can literally wipe out a whole penguin colony. Wow. The second thing is climate change. So the oceans are changing, prey species, the food which they eat to survive is moving, so they sometimes have to swim much longer distances. But lastly, and the most serious, is overfishing. So we're taking too much fish out of the seas, and so on a daily basis now, penguins are having to compete with fishing companies to survive, to eat.
So is it a matter of their food being taken or them being caught in the line for the fishing?
No, it's overfishing, it's taking the food.
So Lewis, for me, I mean, you're someone that's inspired me in terms of all the crazy endeavors you've put yourself through, and often all for a just cause. So with everything that you've done in the past and now leading up to the future, why even jump on board with a cause like this? I mean, there's so many issues. Why is this one so close to you?
I think two reasons. The first is I love penguins.
Okay.
So, it's really,
stop there, man. It's fine. Just drop the mic.
It's that simple. I mean, to dive into the sea and to swim with an African penguin. I mean, on land, they're just so ungainly as they sort of waddle across the beach.
Not very graceful.
But when they get into the ocean, they start swimming, they dart backwards and forwards. They fly. They're amazing animals. And what I've learned is that everybody all over the world loves penguins.
Yeah, that is true.
It's so true. You speak to people in Japan, you speak to people in America, in Britain, Kenya, wherever you are, people love penguins.
I mean, look at Happy Feet.
Yeah, but they've got a good PI.
I think that the second reason, and forgive me for bringing this up, it's economics, right? So if you think about it, people come to South Africa, and they come to South Africa often to see the beautiful wildlife we have. They come to the big national parks, but they also come to our coastline. They come to see the whales, they come to see the sharks, they come to see the beaches, they come to see the penguins.
They want to go to Boulders,
They want to come to Boulders. And so you think about all the jobs that rely on saving the African penguin. It's loads of jobs. Think of people who work in hotels, who work in restaurants, who work in the wine farms, who work in bus companies. So many jobs rely on saving the African penguin, and especially now during COVID, we need to protect those jobs as well.
It's making me realize how we're almost in denial about this, and we're completely taking them for granted because they're ever present. But you have jumped on board with SANCOB, the Southern African Foundation for the Conservation of Coastal Birds, who do amazing work. They really do work in the coalface. What are you doing with them now to address this, apart from obviously just spreading awareness?
Yeah, I mean, they are an amazing organization. So they were formed over 50 years ago now. And So they were formed in 1968, and it's largely a volunteer organization. Okay, so they have some, permanent employees, but the vast majority of people who come every single day to work with the penguins, to clean the penguins, to feed gannets, to save seabirds, the vast majority of them are volunteers. In fact, the biggest animal rescue in history was led by Sankob. So in 2000, there was a ship called the Treasure, which sank off Cape Town.
Yeah.
They cleaned 20,000 birds.
Wow.
When you think about that, every single bird has to be cleaned.
And thoroughly, yeah.
And thoroughly. And penguins are very ungrateful animals.
Yeah.
They bite you.
They'd be feisty.
They're feisty. And so volunteers came from all over Cape Town. In fact, they came from all over the world to help Sankob with this thing. And so why did I team up with Sankob? Because they're a local NGO and they do fantastic work and they save African birds.
What can we do to help?
Yeah, I think everybody needs to. We love penguins. We want to get involved. What can the rest of Mzansi do?
Yeah. We mustn't wake up in 15 years' time and say to ourselves, well, the African penguin has gone extinct. What could we have done 15 years ago?
Yeah.
There's one person who really can help save the African penguin from extinction, and that's the Minister of Environment, Barbara Creasy. Okay, I urge the watchers to blog about it, to tweet about it, to Facebook about it, to write to her. Her email address is on the government website. Please write to Barbara and say, Barbara, please help save the African penguin from extinction. I wrote an article recently telling her, or suggesting to her, 3 things which she can do now which can save the African penguin. Please, Barbara, if you are watching this show, which you should be, there are 3 things which you can do which can really save the African penguin. Please do them. Do them today. Okay, this is an iconic African species.
Well, it's part of our DNA. 15 years.
Yeah.
The clock is ticking. It's part of our natural heritage, and it's a massive economic driver for our country as well. Lewis, you are a living legend. Thank you so much. He is of the sea. This man is doing incredible work, but we also have a role to play. Why not do that today? Make one of your tweets, one of your Facebook posts, one of your posts on Instagram about the African penguin. Speak to Barbara Creasy, and let's see if we can sway public opinion to save this incredible resource.